Okay, before I get to doing other things, I just wanted to say something about something else. So I've recorded myself in this session doing what I'm doing, which is what I consider to be art, right? So what this is about is simply a sitting meditation where you just try to sit as long as you can. It doesn't matter if you think, well, he's not really meditating, because I know how to meditate. It's just focus. And if you can sit like this, it really doesn't matter what you think is happening, because you're training sitting, and then you try to sit in a position that holds your spine up and that makes you feel like, I don't know, you just keep your energy within. But I still have a body, and I can sit there and I can pretend. Recording it gave me a purpose. It gave me a purpose. Some people really like Zazen, I think that's what it's called. I actually think I know. It's sitting meditation, where you sit and you breathe. And while you're doing that, you may realize that you may feel all kinds of sensations in your body. Okay, right now I'm doing two things at the same time. I'm supposed to make an artwork. So I'm channeling energy into that. And at the same time I'm standing and I'm talking into the microphone. And the sensations I was feeling were incredible strength. Also in my lower back, I was like being pulled back, because I have done a lot of work on my body. Because in order to sit like that for hours, which is a practice that yogis normally do, or at least some form of self-sacrifice, and it certainly cleanses your spirit. If you can go through a session of 1 hour meditation where you just sit still and you breathe into your stomach, and every time maybe terrible emotions or that you think feel terrible, they come up, or just feelings in general, they will try to distract you, like scratch your nose. Okay, should you scratch your nose, or can you just meditate it away? It's a good question. Can you ignore your body? I'm just talking about people who sit there and then there's flies in their face and they just don't care. How does that work? Do you have to be really indifferent or really strong-minded? So, to me, what this video is about, I don't want to really talk too much, was just about sitting, and at one point I just felt like, stopping with the sitting, and then I just started to move. But sometimes it's really the time to stand, and then it's time to sit like this. What you cannot see is that I was sitting quite erect. I've never sat like that. And I would assume that's also a very good position to have sex, when you as a man can sit like this, and the woman can sit in your cradle. You can just channel the energy, and she's just gonna, feel bliss, because she feels safe in your arms. And that's something where a man has to learn also, to be firm, but also gentle. To take your time, because whoever it is that wants to be with you, is also vulnerable in this moment. And most women that I know, they're not gonna ask you for anything. They're just gonna, I don't know, all the women that I met, they always just let go and moved on. And that's just one thing that I'm starting to manage to incorporate into my routine, which is to occasionally just sit like this and then to start doing these other things, which is then also, again, enjoying the bubble. Because there's nobody that can say anything to that. What are you doing? Or look at it and have weird thoughts. Well, why don't you do it yourself? And I'm amazed at how far I have come and what my body can accomplish and what my will, right? So if you work on your body, you also strengthen your will, and it takes a lot of discipline and determination to actually meditate and to do this on your own. You see, I'm still struggling with the on your own, because unless I'm recording it, I feel like it defeats the purpose, because I'm supposed to show what I'm doing and how I'm doing it. And what I'm doing when I'm sitting in the squat is my left ankle, I got, you could say, snapped out of place or something. And I'm just working on that. And that squatting, is certainly a way to build up stamina and strength and increase your flexibility. So also for climbing, hip flexibility, all these kinds of things. The squat is one of the most ancient, probably, forms of sitting. And it makes it actually easy to rest into yourself if you have practiced it for some time. And it's an excellent way to work on your general mobility, what else? Well, I'm not so sure. Your ability to, I don't know, it's just my form of stretching. And it's a good way to start a session, because it also accumulates a lot of energy in the legs. And it builds it up, and then it can shoot it into the body. And it makes you hard, it hardens you. And if you are hardened, you are less easy to throw over or to attack or to, do all kinds of things. And, I'm just doing what I'm doing. And people just think, everybody wants to be the master. But I haven't met anyone who could keep up once I started doing this. So I'm a master in my own field, or aspiring to be. But I've met masters in their own fields, I'm not going to compete with them. I'm not going to become I don't know. I'm not gonna try to be like you anymore, because I know how it is to be alone, and I know how to separate myself from other people's ideals, and that brings me again back to the idea of Hitler, maybe. I don't want to be like him. I want to know what I want. And I also want to know where my choices are going to get me. I find that it is important to me as an individual to accept that, yes, spirituality and oneness, all that kind of stuff, we're all connected. But if I live like this, then I will never know who I am in all of this. And that was important to me, right? To know what I am in all of this. Am I the guy who smokes? Or am I the guy who meditates and drinks tea? Am I the guy who jokes? Or am I the guy who's stern and, never smiles? As soon as the camera's running, I have a lot of, I see beauty in a lot of things, and that's just what happens when your heart is open. But in what company do you really want to show how vulnerable you are? Right? So I rather show my strength, which is why if I'm in the company of others, I can show also my strength by simply doing these kind of exercises. But people always treat you like, you're some kind of weirdo. And yeah, it's just, why is it always like this? Sorry. It's just a form of meditation. It's a form of self-respect. It's a form of, a sanctuary within yourself. Oh wow, what a nice way of saying it. Yeah, right, whatever. Because what it is, it's a practice. You either do it or you don't, And I just said, I don't have to get you to do this. I'm just gonna do it myself. And I don't want people to teach me anything about yoga simply because I think I found my own school of yoga, which is just, practice and learn and just do it yourself. And, figure out what works for you. I think that's a much better approach than, to always follow people. Unless you want to give them money, unless you really want to, go ahead, right? I mean, be your own guest or whatever. Because in the end, it's you that thinks you need these people, right? That's what it is in the end. It's you that thinks you need all of these people. And I just started to realize, yeah, I don't feel good in the company of other people often, I really choose who I spend my time with. I really do. And I don't think you can scare me into spending time with anyone, because what's it really matter? I think if that's my job, then that's just what I'm gonna do. If that's my job, then that's just what I'm going to do. I'm just going to heal myself, and I'm going to figure out what I want. And I can do so, I can change myself from within and then figure out who I am on the outside. But to me, it's also a balance of being outside and inside, and learning, right, what does it mean for me to be alive, and what do I really want, and where do I actually want to go with this. I don't have clear directions anymore. Just have to be honest about this. I don't really have clear directions anymore. I mean, I'm going somewhere, but I also don't have to tell everyone where that is, right? Because to me, it's just, I just want to liberate myself from the idea that I need all these people. And that's then freedom, right? Where you can say, hey, yeah, I acknowledge that you exist, but I also acknowledge that I exist. And, if I can acknowledge that, then, I may know what it feels like to be truly free in all my choices. And I'm literally, sometimes it's so weird, but when you know how it feels like to be you and to let go, I mean, you no longer want to be with so many people because you are enough. And that's just strange. When you learn, I'm enough. you know, sometimes, okay, at the moment I have all the things that I think I need, like food and stuff. So what happens if I don't have them? Well, I'm gonna feel uneasy, or I just meditate. Well, it sounds easier than it is, because if you sit at home meditating, you turn into some kind of monk. And who are you when nobody ever sees you? Well, you know, maybe it's time to figure it out. Right? Maybe it's time to figure it out.